It looks
So you've
crap.
got your what?
It looks crap. It does look like a little.
The best drone you've ever seen?
It looks. It's horrid.
Okay.
I don't want to even touch it anymore.
G'day, Stu from UAV Futures here, and today, well, I've got a challenge going out to you guys, and I want to know what is a bigger piece of garbage than this thing, because this right here, this is the GT or the King Kong GET Max, whatever it is. I'm going to link it down below, but I'm going to save you the bother. Don't bother, go check it out, because this thing, flying it, it's going to be a bit of a different review. Usually I like to review things that I'm really positive about and I'm excited to go and fly. They're things I'll be flying myself and I want to find out how they actually work. This one, it turned up and I was kind of hopeful because I'd originally loved the old GT125, which is over a year ago now. That came out. This one, this looks like its bigger brother, and the game has moved so far and it looks like this hasn't made any innovations, if anything at all. It's actually gone backwards. So to the guys over at King Kong, they're going to be a bit upset when I talk about the things I do in this review, but frankly, I'm not a very big fan at all. Now, what we're very quickly going to do, we're going to stick it on the bench, break it down, quickly go through the text and the specs, and kind of talk about the design of the thing, where I have no idea what this drone is trying to do. Like a 4-inch that's got bumpers but doesn't carry go. I don't know. It's the game has changed so much, and this thing is just completely lost in the middle. The motors are just a whole nother story we'll be talking about. And then when you go out to the field, fly it around, and you'll see what happens later on in the video after one flight, why that's all this thing gets. And we'll see what Wingman Jono and Long Range Tony think as well. But let's do it. Let's kick it off. Start with the overview and pretty much what this thing is. It's a 4-inch racer. It's designed to be a bind and fly. Take it out of the box, and it's got some big prop guards on here. Now, I don't know what they're trying to do, because 4 inches don't traditionally have prop guards, and most of the stuff we're flying around nowadays, if you're flying indoors, that's really the only time prop guards are good. This one, well, it's a 4-inch of prop guard, so I don't know what are you actually supposed to do with that when you're flying it around. It doesn't carry a GoPro, which is again kind of crazy. It doesn't even have a turtle or anything. It is kind of cheap, and I can see it. Some people saying, oh, it's meant to be a trainer drone, but a beginner on this is not going to have a great time anyway. So I don't really know what market they're going after. Now, what we should do, let's first things first too, stick it on the scales, tell you how much it weighs. I'll get this in shot in the roof cam, and it's coming in at about 282 grams, but you've also got your little, let me tuck this XT60 lead up. It's coming in, yeah, about 290 grams. So look, it's definitely not a very heavy quadcopter. It does have this pretty crazy looking pod shape on the top. I'm not too sure how I feel about that on one of these 4-inch drones. And then if we flip it over, you can see it's made up of body base plate that also has these massive sort of parts on the outside, these huge prop guards, which I must say I do kind of like in terms of how they're made. They're very robust, they feel very tough, but is it really necessary? I don't really think so. Now with the overview out of the way, let's jump in, have a look at the components. I'm going to unscrew the part at the back here because it's just held on by 3 little screws, and I should say that these screws are very, very low quality, so they're kind of really not going well when it comes to trying to get them out of here, because even though I've got my tools, it's just what do you call it, like cutting the whatever there it is, the metal that it's made out of is just kind of bending rather than unscrewing. Alrighty, so there we go. So I've taken, and it doesn't come with this Velcro strap. I kind of just threw that in there to hold my 4S battery, so I'm going to take this out. It does come with some spare props as well. But yeah, I've taken those screws out. You can take the top off. It does not come with a receiver, so I had to put my own receiver in here. And then let me see, what do I need to disconnect? I'm just going to disconnect my camera for the purpose of this video. And then radio. So what we've got, you can see in the middle, you take the top off, we've got our components in the center. We're going to start at the outside in. We've got our 4-inch props, which are 4.5s by 3s. They're bullnose. They didn't seem very good flying around. They broke fairly easily. We'll talk about that too in the flight review. And then underneath here, I want to say stars of the show, but I mean that in like stars of this episode. They're like a huge piece of garbage. These motors are disgusting, and check out how thick the motor wires are on these things. I don't know how many amps you're supposed to be putting through that. These motor wires are the thinnest I have ever seen, especially on a 2205. These are 2400 kV, I believe. Also, they are so cheap. Like, I think I saw a pair, I'll see if I can put her on picture on the screen. They are like $3 a motor, $4 or something like that. So at that price, you know that it's got to be good. Now moving towards the middle, what I actually want to do here, let's take this little bit of tape off, and you can see we don't have any ESCs on the arms because we have a 4-in-1 in the middle, which we'll talk about. But if I take this tape off, you can see how they've joined them up, so it goes from sort of a really thin nothing wire to a bit of a larger wire. So you can just see under here, that's where they're joining the thin wire to. A little bit better silicone wire I've got in the middle, going towards our 4-in-1, I guess, complete tower. Now this tower part, I don't feel too upset about. So it's only BL Heli S, which sucks. It's only 20 amps. It does have an F4 with an OSD, but the OSD I don't think is really turned on when you get this. So for a beginner model, which is what they recommend, that's kind of stupid. And then on the top, we've just got a pretty standard, you know, normal channel VTX, all that sort of stuff, connected to a pretty generic FPV camera at the front. It is a CMOS, a 1200 TVL. And look, it was okay, but the amount of, you just kind of wait till you go to the flight footage and you'll see why. It doesn't matter what camera you've got in here, it's not going to be a very good experience. It didn't come with a receiver. I put my own in there, a little XM Plus, and then we've just got a little dipole antenna on the top, which simply screws into here, and that's kind of it on the component level. So overall, I got to say, I'm not really impressed. I'm not impressed with the frame. I don't really know what it's going for, and the motors, they are absolute garbage, and the flight experience isn't very good. So that's a pretty harsh little rundown, but that's the sad reality of the King Kong Max. But now what we should do, let's talk about the designer thing, and this is where I don't know what the people were thinking when they made this. So, you know, we've got Mobular HDs now that if you want to fly around and record some HD footage, you can do that. You've got also just the Mobular 7s, the ones with duct, where you can still really rip around and you don't have to worry about that extra weight, but you can still have an awesome time flying around and be safe. Then we've got this bad boy. It's slower than both of those things combined. It doesn't carry a GoPro. It doesn't do HD, and really, I just don't know what it's going for. So in the past, I really liked the smaller little GT125 or ET125s and 110s. Those things were amazing, but that was about a year ago. This, it looks all they've done is put a bigger canopy on here. It's not even going to carry a GoPro. So for me, it's just a huge fail on so many levels, but it's a challenge. If you've seen a bigger piece of garbage, what do you think that is? On top of that, let's move on. Talk about, I guess, the quality of the thing. Well, quality of these motors, you're kind of probably going to get what you pay for at about $3 each. They're probably not going to be the best. We've also got some of the cheapest motor wires I have ever seen. The plastic, I do have to admit, I do really like the plastic of the outside parts here, the prop protectors. They might come in useful for some weird obscure project for me in the future, but for most people, I don't think they're really going to get any value out of it. And I'm not, I guess, the stack in the middle is fairly standard stuff, and the solder joints look fairly standard. So maybe a 6 out of 10, and the stack, I'm going to give the stack maybe a 7 out of 10. So I'm not too upset with that part. And then finally, moving on before we go out and see what the other boys think as well, have a bit of fun with it. Well, this thing, the pros and the cons. Pros. It is relatively cheap, so, but I still wouldn't buy it even if it was like 50 bucks, but it's about 120 bucks, I believe, $130. I don't think it's really worth it. That's about it. It has prop protectors that seem to be fairly robust, but again, it's on the wrong size and wrong sort of drone. And then, I guess, cons, it doesn't carry a GoPro. It's too big to really have these prop protectors. It doesn't perform very well. It doesn't fly very well. Yeah, its flight characteristics are absolutely disgusting. The OSD is not set up, so overall, and the motors are super cheap and probably going to give you a fairly negative flight experience. So overall, as you can see, I'm not really a big fan of this. Now, most of the time, I like to review stuff that I'm excited about and that I would go out and get. This one turned up, and I only really reviewed it based on its previous models that I had used in the past over a year ago. But this 2019 version, the ET Max, it just definitely misses the mark by a lot. But look, that's it on the bench. Could I be wrong in the flight footage? We're going to jump out to the field now, and you tell me what you guys think. So let's jump out to the field, have some fun in 3, 2, 1. Right out here in the field, we're about to do it. We're going to rip around this bit of a monstrosity with the boys. Long Range Tony, Wingman Jonos. We've got the plane crew out today. We're going to be flying some quads, but we're flying this thing. So
it's like a baby hawk that took steroids.
A baby hawk that took steroids. So I don't know how it's going to go. It's kind of in a weird position, something this big with prop guards. We're going to fly this. I don't know. Let's do it, fly it, show you some DVR, see what the other boys think. So let's do it, have some fun in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was nice, Tony. You tuned that in perfectly. Look at that. All right, here we go. On board. Get set to get amazed. Look at that jello coming through. Complete garbage. And that's just on sort of the first little hover. It just seems to get worse with the more power you put on there. And also they're getting a whole bunch of flashes on the screen that weren't coming up in other drones. So much for the OSD. Where's the OSD meant to be? It only comes up with, you know, it said RX loss at one point. So it's definitely working, but there's some other points too. Like it's just not even enabled. And I know what you're saying. Look, Stuart, you should be able to turn that stuff on. Yeah, you should. But it's marketed as a beginner beginner drone, and beginners just want something they can take out of the box and fly. And let me tell you, this is not it. So I'm trying to do a little bit of acro here. I don't really know what it's for. I decided to test the bumpers. We get lucky once, but the overall flight experience for this thing, just you can kind of see for yourself. Like, what do you guys think? It's just a terrible flight experience. But there you go. And then we broke a prop on the ground, so it was all over. Wingman John, I'm just going to sort of, I'm going to interject here. This quad, it's garbage. You saw the DVR. No one's going to want to fly that. It's absolutely disgusting. But I want to know, what's your impressions on the design? I think I'm not even going to make you fly it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Holy, yeah. Like, it just seems like it misses the mark. It's a 4-inch with bumpers. Like, you're not going to be flying like, normally bumpers are for indoor.
Yep.
You're not going to be flying a 4-inch indoor. 4 inch is too big for indoor.
And like, if you're going to carry a GoPro, what is the deal with this shell?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know.
It's like it doesn't hit the mark for like being a cine whoop. It doesn't hit the mark for indoor flying.
What do you think about these motor wires we've got just here?
You get a trickle of some kind of power through there. Like, I don't think they're gonna be up for getting some high amps through. You're definitely not getting good punch out of that. Like, you can just tell by the wires on there. I happen to know for a fact that I've seen these motors on GearBest before, and how much do they go for? I think about under $20 US.
Yeah,
for four.
For four, yeah,
for
they're like $4 or $5 a motor.
That's the cheapest motors I think I've ever seen in my life, and unsurprisingly, there's not much coming out of them.
Yeah, no. So I guess, what's your thoughts on this one?
Hey, garbage, but you just ran into the tree before, and it took the hit like a pro, so the bumpers obviously
Well,
work.
the first one did. The second one, we broke a prop.
prop.
That might have happened when we landed and hit a stick on the ground. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
So.
That's, oh god, it's.
Yeah, don't get this one. But with all that said, what do you reckon about this, Tony? I know you're just about to take off there.
It looks
So you've
crap.
got your what?
It looks crap. It does look like a little.
The best drone you've ever seen.
It looks like a micro whoop that's gone to bed in some manure and woke up like a piece of shit. It's horrid.
Okay.
I don't want to even touch it anymore.
All right, so there you go. This one, it flies terrible. I don't like the design philosophy. It's a little bit heavy. It's missing the mark on so many, like, it's a 4-inch, but yeah, I think Jono summed it up well. Where are you meant to fly this? What's the environmental purpose? If you're going to get this, well, just do yourself a favor. Don't get it. So anyway, other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content. And if you were looking out for this, well, bad news. It's just bad luck. It's not good. Anyway, happy flying.
I'm on F1 now. I can't change the.
Yeah.
Again, this is another new. This is one of my favourite little quads. So
What are you flying now?
this is an Acrobrat.
What do you think of the Acrobrat?
I love it. It's so good. Except it's nice and smooth.
Do you like the oh my god stuff?
Yeah, this is it is. Look, I don't go out and buy loads of things because it's made by whatever brand.
Yep.
I just like it because it flies nice.
Okay.
You know? It's like, I know somebody that really hates the TBS Oblivion, but I love it. I don't know who I'm talking about.
Just talking about me there. No, but that is kind of growing on me a little bit. After seeing yours day in, day out, never miss a beat.
No, it's great. It does the trick. But
Oh,
this is nice.
All right, what trick are we going to do? Let's see if we can get Tony to break this. Not over the tree though.
Oh, it's got a bit of a mid-throttle oscillation there.
Alrighty. Anyway,
All right.
happy flying.